757 Spy Flight Deck. We are in Frankfurt right now, and there was actually some pretty big news that was made over the weekend in the world of flight simulation. And so we're here in Frankfurt in X-Plane to talk about what's coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Hello, I'm Dave. I do the Spy Flight over on Twitch TV, and yesterday's big announcement really was an exciting announcement for flight simmers. I think a lot of flight simmers out there. Let's continue to zoom in here, and you'll see the airplane that we're talking about. This is the iniBuilds A310, and the big announcement was the iniBuilds A310 is coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator, and the bigger news is it's free. Wow. It's going to be here in November of 2022, according to the announcement. And this is the one that you can get for X-Plane. And this is, I got to tell you, this is a very complete airplane. And it's an old school Airbus for sure, but I do have to tell you, it is a really exciting airplane. Let me show you what started all of this. It was this announcement right over here. And yep, there you go, right there. It's over here. It's from Xbox, and there's a really nice video to take a look at too. But yeah, there it is, the Airbus A310-300. Now, the passenger version is coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's part of their Microsoft Flight Simulator 40th Anniversary Edition. I should stop the whole process right here and say I'm not sponsored by anybody. Okay, so I'm not here to hype a product or get you all excited about something because somebody paid me to do that. I'm excited about this. This is a really great airplane, and it's coming to an amazing platform. So I'm definitely looking forward to this for sure. This is the airplane that came to X-Plane was initially came out as a cargo because that's what most of these airplanes were flying for. There's not an awful lot of A310s that are flying around today. Here's another link that you're going to find in the description. This is the Wikipedia page on the A310. Now, there were a lot of these A310s that got converted over to cargo liners. And let's see, where was that cargo? Yeah, so there were some A310s that were converted over to cargo, but I think an awful lot of the A310s have been retired, so to speak. Now, the A300s, there's at least 2, sometimes 3 of them that fly into my small Montana town airport every morning here. So the A300s are still out there and flying high. There's still a few people that are operating this. So what's the difference between the A300 and the A310? Well, the A300 was the first airplane to come out, the first Airbus to come out, and that was like 70s and 80s. But one of the things that it couldn't really do was do across the pond. So this one is actually a little bit shorter. The A310 is a little shorter than the A300, but it's got a lot more range. And there were also a number of other improvements too. So let's talk a little bit. We're going to do a complete flight in this airplane just to give you an idea of what it is that you should expect to see here. So the flight we're doing today is Lufthansa Flight 1190. This is a real-world flight that's due to depart sometime within the next hour here from Frankfurt, and we are going to Zurich. This is a nice little hop. Lufthansa flies an A320 on this flight currently. Some add-ons that I'm using, the SAM3 jetways. I'm also using Navigraph charts and data, SimToolkit Pro and SimBrief. METAR.taf is what I'm doing to get weather reports, and we're also using Active Sky for weather. The airport that we are at today, Lufthansa, the Frankfurt airport is a really nice payware airport, and I think that the the Zurich airport is going to be a freeware. Here's a little bit more information. This is a complex airplane. So when we're talking about airplane developers, simulated airplane developers, some of the biggest news that's been made in the past month or so has been from developers like Phoenix and PMDG. Well, I would put iniBuilds on the exact same list as Phoenix and PMDG. This is a very, very well done airplane. And the amazing news that came out is that we're going to get this for free in November. Okay, back to the information about the flight today. There are a few rabbit holes that you can jump down in this airplane. There is a good checklist in the EFB. I do suggest you use it with this airplane. I will. And as always with the videos that I do here, it's not about the right way versus the wrong way. This is what I've found that works for me in the simulated world. I've been flight simming since the days of the Sublogic flight simulator, and I've been live streaming for about 5 years right now. So if this is the first time you've ever seen one of these videos, I suggest that you hit pause, load up your simulator, and fly along with me, because even though this airplane is not due to come out until November, we actually have a pre-release copy right now over in X-Plane if you're really interested in this. If you are flying along with me, one of the cool things about YouTube is you can pause the video if you need to. You can even rewind it and pick up something that you may have missed. And then I do like to suggest, after you do one of these complete cold and dark types of videos with me, go and do a hometown flight. Take off from your hometown airport and go to the big hub. Just kind of helps solidify all of this. And then please feel free to join us over on Twitch. We do group flights 6 days a week, Tuesday through Sunday at 1900 Zulu. Our flight plan for today will take us off on runway 25 center. That is currently what Frankfurt is doing right now. Now, because this is a recorded video, the weather may change and you may need to take off on one of the other runways. Flight plan's pretty normal flight plan. We're going to land on Zurich's runway 28. Our cruise level is flight level 230. It's only a 33-minute flight. The distance is just 118 nautical miles. Now, if you were a passenger, you might see a passenger board like this. The flight is due to depart at 3:35 p.m. local time and arrive at 4:40 p.m. Zurich time. Again, only 33 minutes. There actually is a real Lufthansa aircraft. Let's see, Delta-Alpha India Delta Foxtrot. That's the tail number on the airplane. Right now, that is assigned to an A321, I think, within Lufthansa's fleet. Here's a little bit more information. There's our departure and arrival weather. There's the flight plan complete. Details. I've clipped all of my flight notes are into the description below. The weather map is looking pretty good out there, and this might be what your boarding pass would look like if you're getting to fly on this airplane. I usually try to book seat A10. All right, I feel like that is far too much yammering. Let's talk a little bit about the airplane. So I was talking about some of the add-ons. One of the things that you get at this airport is the SAM Scenery Manager, and that's this little blue thing you see over here. And so let's go over here, and you can see this little blue thing. Let's click it, and we can go and get the A23-1 jetway. And if you go, and we're going to close this. Oh, look at this. See, the jetway is starting to move. You can do all sorts of immersion if you really, really want to. And I got to tell you, I kind of like doing a little bit of this too, because I haven't been on an airplane a long time, because, you know, all the things, the crazy that's been going on in the world. So, okay, a little bit of this geeky immersion is really kind of nice. So we do have a jetway coming out to the airplane. And I do think that the jetway doesn't match up with the airplane too well. That's something that I think the developers could tweak within the configuration files. So we got all of that in there. Now, if we were walking down the jetway, they would open the door from the outside. I don't think you can do that here, but you can come over here and go to ground ops. This is the electronic flight bag, and you can go to exits. Now, first things first, let's disarm the doors. Otherwise, you'll blow the slides, and you don't want to do that. Left exit, so we're going to open up the 1L. So the 1L is opening. We'll also just go ahead and do the cargos right now. And if you come on over here, I believe that there is the 1L door outside the cockpit. So you can see what I was saying about the jetway doesn't quite match this. One thing is they folks from iniBuilds have really done a nice job of modeling the cabin. And if you look off to the side, you see 1, 2, 3. Yeah, the detail on this airplane, they even did the row numbers of all the seats. I was mentioning the seat that I usually get. It's usually this one right here. It's the A10 seat. So, oh yes, the seatbelt signs work too, by the way. And that way I can have a nice wing view and an engine view. And yeah, that's part of what it means to be an airplane geek. So let's go into the best seat in the house. That's this one right here. And let's go and get a few things started. So we've got our doors open. Let's return here. And the first thing that you generally do within an iniBuilds airplane is after you get your doors open and the jetway in place, oh, and most important, you have your in-flight beverage all ready to go. Next thing that you need to do is go to the load sheet. There is a number that you're going to get off of your flight plan. It's called the zero fuel weight, and the zero fuel weight for today's flight is 97.6. So 97.6. That translates to 97,636 kgs or tons. Okay, so we've got that information, and then hit enter. And the folks from iniBuilds have said they're going to completely redo this EFB for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I expect that this is really this is already a very good electronic flight bag. It is. I expect it's going to be even better when we get ready to, when it comes to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Let's see, let's do our fuel on board, and our fuel is going to be 8.7 kg, 8.7, and hit enter. All right, so there's 8.7, 9.6. Let's do load, payload, and fuel, and it computes. Now there's a number here. It says 27.0. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to put this number in my, I'm going to put this number over in my flight notes here. So these are my flight notes. You'll recognize this. I've clipped this into the description. So I have a little spot for this airplane, 27.0. That's your center of gravity, 27.0, and you just need to jot this down. If you're just getting started in flight sim, maybe doing this via notepad is not the best way to go. Have a piece of paper. I just had too much paper, so that's what was going on there. Okay, and a couple of my numbers are yellow right now. I'm not sure if that means I've done something wrong. But normally it's not yellow, so I might have overloaded something within my SimBrief flight plan. I'm not 100% sure about that. So that may be the first thing I messed up today. How do you turn on one of these amazing airplanes? Well, it's the battery button, just like an Airbus. In this case, we have 3 of them up here. Let's turn on the airplane. 1, 2, 3, and there they go. While we're doing this, let's go down here. Oh, we don't have external power. What's going on? Let's go and return, go to ground services. Let's turn on the external power. I already did turn on chocks. We could also go ahead, and we don't need an air stairs. And we could go and get a loader though. And we'll get the forward and aft loaders. And if you come on out here and have a look, there comes some loaders. Look at that. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer to these things. So they've even gone and they've started to put some loaders in there. Okay, that's, you know, they actually do really good cargo airplanes at iniBuilds. And so one of the things is the, you know, they did the Beluga. See what else is here. We could get a fuel truck. We could also get a catering truck. Let's go ahead and have some fun today. So let's come on out here. Oh, look at that. And they've even got the correct catering, LSG, for Lufthansa Sky Chefs. So we're all set. And I wonder what kind of really cool food they're going to put aboard here. And so now we got all sorts of loading going on. So you really can geek out with these airplanes if you want to. All right, now let's go back up here and do serious flying stuff. That's very serious today. And now we have external power. So let's punch in external power. And we're going to go ahead and turn on the galleys, because we want to keep the coffee hot and we want to keep the beer cold, right? Next thing we need to do is navigation and logo lights. Like most Airbuses, there's 2 identical systems. The date that I'm recording this is the 13th of the month, so that is an odd day, and the way I do it is odd and even days on the flight. That determines which system. Other airlines, some of those will use, if the pilot's flying, they'll use nav1. If the co-pilot is flying, they'll use nav2. There's all sorts of little schemes that you can do. We're also going to come over here, and I'm going to turn on no smoking, because we're going to be fueling the airplane. And our airplane is coming to life. How about that? And we can come down here and you can see there's all sorts of stuff showing up on the eCam. You can see all of our doors are open too, including the back cabin doors. So, you know, they are loading stuff up. Now then, there's the EFB, the McDo, although I think they called this FMS before it became a McDo. But we're going to come down here to the radio page. Now, because I've got chocks in place, I'm going to go ahead and turn off the parking brake because we don't really need a parking brake here. But we're going to come down here and we're going to look at the radio. We could also, there's this big knob down here at the bottom. Let's go ahead and turn this knob up, and we're going to turn this knob up. You see the backlighting, and we've just backlit the overhead panel. Let's also come down here and we'll backlight the main panel. And then over here on the autopilot, we're going to go ahead and backlight that too. I just think it makes the instrument stand out a little easier, and that's kind of nice. This is really interesting. This works with the Hoppy ACARS system. So one of the things that we can do is let's go to ACARS main. See where it says company root? That is my username for SimBrief. Please don't try to hack it. Be nice. Let's go over here and do company root, and we're just going to click it. So now it's going out to SimBrief, and it's getting my current flight plan. There it is. That's all you got to do. Wind data. Let's click this one. It's pending. It's now going out on the Hoppy ACARS network and getting wind data. It's been received. Let's clear it, and let's insert it. Wind data has been inserted. All right, let's clear that. Okay, back to ACARS ATC, and let's do a weather request. And we are going to get a METAR for EDDF, Frankfurt. Let's put that up there and send it. And there is our Frankfurt weather. And look at all of that. Variable at 11 knots, ceiling and visibility wide open, the altimeter. Look at this. It says print. Let's hit print. You hear that? Come on back here. Look at this. There is our METAR. Now, I believe that you can also print out clearances through CPDLC. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you can even get a clearance, and that's pretty nice. Listen real carefully. We just tore it off, and if you look, there it is, right there where the real pilots would be keeping stuff like that. I think that that is really, really nice. Just one of the reasons why it is that I like to say this airplane is right up there with Phoenix and PMDG. Now then, the company root uplink is done, so let's clear that. Nav accuracy is downgraded. Yeah, we still got to do the IRSs, the navigation gear, and teach the airplane where it is. So FMS, and May through June, so we've got the latest nav data in. So that's looking pretty good too. Now let's look way up here. Oh my gosh. This is going to be kind of awkward to reach. There's the nav stuff. So let's go ahead and do IRS 1, straight up to nav, battery. We can go and do this a little easier for you to see. So there's nav 1 and battery. Let's do nav 2. Battery, wait till the light goes out. And nav 3, wait till the light goes out. You can do fire checks here. So here's the APU, there's the agent light. And now let's do all the fireworks is what I call them. There's loop A, loop B, and bing, bing, bing. So there's the fire check for the APU. You can go over and do the same for engine number 1, agent 1, agent 2, and hold this down for loop A, loop B. Those are the two separate fire detection systems, and there's that. Let's go over here. We're going to go and do the same thing for engine number 2, and here we go. All that's good. Now, one of the things is we've got the flight recorder over here, and you turn on ground control. That means that it's recording you right now in case I push the wrong button. The accident investigators can hear me saying, oh crap, maybe I shouldn't have hit that button, or something along those lines. Okay, all of this is looking good. So things are looking up here. So let's go ahead and go back down to the FMS, and it says align IRS. So let's go to the init page, and I usually go and hit align IRS now, and then I will clear that because sometimes I will forget that, and that becomes annoying. One thing it does not load is your alternate airport. Our alternate airport is back to EDDF. So we're going to put the alternate in there too, and then just return. That's all you need to do. And so everything else should be in there. And the airplane is coming alive. As far as loading bags and things like that, and passengers, some of the other airplanes, the animations are done here. You can see that the cargo truck's gone. Technically, I believe that now that we've already put these numbers in, so over in the load sheet, now that we've done this, we have loaded the airplane. So there's no time that you have to wait for an on-time departure or something like that. I don't know for sure if there's a way to simulate loading time right now. I don't know. I bet that's something that they're thinking about, though, because the other two big airplanes in Microsoft Flight Simulator are doing that. Let's go to the F plan or flight plan, EDDF. Right now, Frankfurt is blasting off on the 25s, and it's 25 center, I believe. So there's 25 center. We are doing the Anik 1 Foxtrot. There we go. There's our departure. And no transition after that, so insert. Then we can kind of come down here. Here is our flight plan. And it's so nice to see it loaded in. Let's go to LSZH. There is our arrival airport, our star. We are coming in on the ILS for runway 28. ILS 28. And we are coming in on the Rilla 2 Alpha. So let's go and use the up. There it is, Rilla 2 Alpha. And we come in. There are transitions here. So which one do we choose there? This is why I've already got my stack of charts already set up here. And this is one of the things the real pilots would do before they get out to the airport. So after Rillix, there's Lamex and Amiki. And that is the end of the routing. So Amiki. And then let's go over and look at our arrival. And do we have Amiki up here somewhere? There's Rillix, Edmu, Zurich East. There, there's Amiki over there. So let's try the Amiki transition. AMI 28. Okay, so, I'm wondering if I should do the AMI 28 instead of just direct to Amiki. You know what? We can go and look and see. Come on over here to flight plan. I usually make it a little bit bigger, turn on constraints, and then usually I don't like to pop out windows, but in this case, popping out a window sometimes is real nice to be able to go and look at your flight plan. There's our departure. The blue line is our route back to the alternate airport. Okay, so after Rillix, so Rillix and Amiki. I think I've messed this up a little bit. There's Amiki there. There's Lamex. So Rillix, Lamex, Amiki, and then ZH. This looks a little bit kinky here. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that has ended up in here. We need to get rid of after Amiki, and we need to be ready to go to. Might be a little easier if we dial the map in a little closer. We need to go from Amiki direct to ZH 458. Okay, so there's Ziki 458. So we're gonna do a little surgery. That whole loop-de-loop. Now there might be an easier way to do this. Let's come down here. Sorry to be just doing this in the middle of all of this. Let's try this again. Star. Instead of this one, let's just do Amiki and see what that does. And now we got to go all the way down through this. That's okay. Rillix, Lamex, Amiki. Yeah, this one is a little bit kinky too. All right, so now let's bear with me here. Let's try one more experiment. This is one of the things that you can do though. I'm going to turn that one off. And now let's just insert this one and see what it does. Might have put in a route discontinuity. Relix, Lamix, Amiki. Okay. That was the simplest way to do it. Let's just do it that way. How does that sound? I'm not sure if that's correct, but this will work for us. And now let's get rid of the pop-out. Again, I really don't do a lot of pop-outs, and over in Microsoft Flight Simulator at the moment, popping out stuff is a frame rate hog, so generally I don't do that. Flight plan, all of this is, I think this is probably pretty good here. At this point in my process, it's time to go and start doing the APU and a few other things. So APU on this airplane is master switch, on. Fuel pump says low pressure, wait till the pressure light goes out, and then you can hit start. And then if you want to geek out on APUs, the APU, of course, in the back of the airplane. And it should be starting up. There's our APU. I believe in Europe, the rule is you don't start your APU until 10 minutes before departure. That's a pretty good startup sound. All right, I think we've geeked out enough about the APU on this one. So APU is up and running, so that's good. Let's also go and do a few other things here. We've got the ground control is set. We don't need any of the other lights. Seat belts are not needed. All the other lights here are good. But with the APU up and running, let's go ahead and get the bleed on. So we're going to do that. Probe heaters. Let's turn on the probe heaters. We're also going to turn on this low pressure oxygen. And I'm also going to turn on that little light too. That was another oxygen light up there. Could be that was too early for that. The only other thing to do here is window heaters. We could do those. Actually, I meant to do window heat first. You don't do probe heat until after pushback. And that's good to go up there. Okay, so all of that's looking great. By now, our passengers are aboard. So at this point in time, we're going to send our takeoff performance data. So let's click this one over here. And let's go and put our departure airport, which is EDDF. Enter. Then it's going to go and select a runway. We're going 25 center. It's a dry runway today. Anti-ice is off. Flap configuration, 15 and 15. That's slats and flaps. Air conditioning is going to be on. We're going to do a flex takeoff. AIDA's request. This goes and gets your weather. And it gets it, it reads it, and then it inserts it. Now let's compute it. And it's computing. All right, limitation. Oh, we got some limitations here. I don't think that that's a really huge problem for us right now. So what we're going to do is we've got we'll flex to 60. It's going to be flaps 15 and 15. Let's go ahead and just send this. Let's try one. Now let's send it. We've already jumped down enough rabbit holes today, and I know that this will get us off the ground, and we're not going to crash. Famous last words, I know. Okay, navigation accuracy has upgraded. We've received takeoff company data, and the GPS primary is set, so that's good. Let's go back to the init page, and all of this is good. Let's go to the next page, and this is where we go and we put in all of the information from the flight plan. So come on down here first. Let's clear, 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 and that way we can look and see how much fuel have we loaded. Flight plan said 8.7. We're at 8.6. That's close enough for this flight. So 8.6 block fuel. The zero fuel weight for the flight off the flight plan, just the number we put in, is 97.6. 97.6. There's zero fuel weight. Remember the center of gravity number that I put down? That's you just jot that down someplace to remind you, and it was 27.0. So you'll need those three bits of data, and now all of a sudden the init is done. And with the init, now that our knitting is done, there's your bad joke for the flight, we can go over here to takeoff and approach. 153, 162, there's our flex temperature, there's our trim. The one number that it did not set is this number here, is the V2 but it is set over here, 165. Here's the thing, you can't change it here. You have to change it up here, and you notice all the numbers are missing from the autopilot. What's going on? Well, now that you've got all the IRSs are aligned, you can come down here and do pitch trim. If you try to do pitch trim and yaw dampers now, and you don't have the GPS aligned, the IRSs aligned, these will just turn off on you. So you got to wait for that before you can turn those on. And then if you look down here, all of a sudden we have numbers. So what I like to do is go down here. V2 is 165 plus 10 is 175. So I'm going to put in 175 up here for my initial speed off the runway. 175, look down there and see, now it says 175. This is also the time that we can put our altitudes in. If you're on VATSIM, one of the things that VATSIM is now telling you to do is to climb via the SID. What they're expecting you to do is to look at the SID chart, and our SID is the ANIC 1 Fox. And if you look down here, ANIC 1 Fox, your initial climb clearance is 5,000 feet. So ATC expects you to know that in VATSIM these days. Push the center button, and our initial climb is 5,000 feet. After that, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in the runway heading. We're going to be taking off on 25 center. That's 247 degrees. So we'll go and do 247. 247. The knobs on this are really nice. They turn very, very nicely. And all of this is looking good. I'm going to go and put map mode in and look down there, and there's some map mode. I'm going to leave it in tight. A couple other things for us to start doing. Let's come on over here, do the altimeter. What was that altimeter setting? Come over here. Altimeter is 1021. So we can do 1021. You might notice my backup altimeter is moving too. This is an airplane that allows you to tie all of your altimeters together. I suggest doing that. That's just a time saver. Here's an interesting little box here. So this is where we could put in our flex takeoff. What was our flex? 60 degrees. So we can go flex 2 and dial in 60. There's your flex temperature for 60. Landing elevation. You can get that off of your chart here. So over at Zurich, the landing elevation is 1,417 feet. So there's 1,400. There's 1,450. So 1,400, I think, is probably close enough. So we got that taken care of too. All right. I think we're in pretty good shape at the moment. Let's see. We can go back here to tuning. We are in Europe, so generally we're going to squawk 1,000. Not on VATSIM right now, but I tend to squawk even, like you're supposed to. You can go through. There is a full ECAM here. It's a little awkward to see, but you can go through the full ECAM there too. And now all of this is pretty much done. So go to EFB, and there is our checklist page. There's the before start checklist, after start, all of this is ready to go. So let's go ahead and go to ground. Load sheet is done. Let's go to ground services. We're done fueling the airplane, so let's get rid of the fuel truck. We're going to go back over here. We're also done with the loader. We can go and clear both of the loaders. So all of that's good. We can go to exits, and I think we can go ahead and I'm going to close the 1L. So click it, and you can see the 1L is closing. There's our 1L closing. So that's pretty cool. We got the doors closed. Now we're going to arm all the doors for departure. Doors are armed for departure. Open a door and the emergency slide will deploy on you. Yes, I've done that. Very embarrassing. Okay, so all that we have now is chocks and external power in place. So from here, we can go, and the APU is up and running. before you start punching buttons, important safety tip on this airplane. See the lights up here? See how it says fault for generator 1 and 2? Make sure the APU generator light is out before you disconnect from ground power. Otherwise, your airplane goes dark and all of your nav data goes dark. So before you do that, go ahead and get rid of that stuff. Okay, so all of this is looking good. Let's come on over here. The jetway is still in place. Now the SAM thing has disappeared. So you need to come back up here to SAM and put the main window back up. And then you can click this. And I believe that's going to get rid of the jetway for us. Jetway is going away. All right, so we can also come over here to Pushback. And let's go and let's hit pre-plan. I think you ought to pre-plan first. Okay, so we're over here, and we're going to do a push and spin. I think that they would push us out kind of like this. We don't want to block the roadway here, so that's why I'm kind of just pushing it lightly like that. That's probably good enough.
On to Cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you're ready.
All right, let's go ahead and start it.
On to Cockpit. Toes driving up.
Okay, so all that's good. Come on down here. And remember, we turned off the parking brakes. Let's go ahead and turn on the parking brakes. Parking brakes are now set. And here comes our pushback truck. I don't know if you heard, but one of the cool things about better pushback is the accents of the pushback truck operators do change depending upon what part of the world you're in. Another little thing that I like to do is at airports that I'm not familiar with, and even airports I'm familiar with, I like to get my ground chart, and this is when I will turn on flight following. This really helps so that you can know exactly where you are, and that's helpful on a VATSIM event. All right, so all of this is good. Let's go back to the EFB, checklists, and cockpit prep is done.
All doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect. Set parking brake.
Parking brake is set, and this is usually when I come up over here, and it's time to turn on some lights. So the beacon is right here, and the beacon is on. So passenger signs, do we have seatbelts on? Passenger signs are on. So fuel quantity has been verified. We are at 8.6. That's what we need to get to Zurich. Although I'm using a little bit of fuel right now. I should be at 8.7. That's probably because of the APU. Navigation is in. Landing elevation is good. Altimeters are checked. Brakes and anti-skid should be normal. You'll find that right there. And it is up. And that is normal. So all of this is good. Windows and doors are closed. Beacon is on. Parking brake is set. Before start check is good.
And bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Are we ready to go? I think it's time to go. Airplane's ready. I don't think I've forgotten anything else. Let's go. So parking brake is off.
Starting pushback, and you may start the engine.
And there goes our push. Oh. I did not pull my chocks, did I? I'm a bad pilot. Sometimes what happens, ground services, okay, it pulled the chocks for me. Okay. Some airplanes pull your chocks, other airplanes don't. Other airplanes will let better pushback pull the chocks. I think it depends on the airplane here in X-Plane. And there we go. You can also come back and look at your pushback here. A view over here. Oh, look at that. The ground traffic actually stopped for us for once. I'm serious. The ground people are absolutely nuts. Okay, let's go over here. At least in X-Plane. I'm sure they're not nuts in the real world. All right, we're clear of the crew area. Nothing's around the engines. I think it is engine start time. If you have the Airbus Thrustmaster Airbus TCA stuff, guess what? This airplane works very well with it. So we're going to go over here. We've got the APU bleed on. Everything's looking good. Let's do our fuel pumps. So fuel pumps going on. Yes, there are that many fuel pumps on this airplane. Okay, so now that we're going to do that, you're going to come down here. And we're going to use System B today. So there is System B. And let's go ahead and we're going to start Engine 2. And when that goes green and open, if you look over here, The N2 starts going up.
Operation complete. Please set parking brake.
Parking brake is set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Hand on the fuel knob at 20% N2. That's when you introduce fuel. Fuel. And we can listen to jet sounds, which I'm sure some people who are not airplane geeks can't understand why it is that we like jet sounds. It's noisy, it's terrible, it's polluting. Hey, we're in flight sim right now. Oh, there goes our pushback truck. All right. Getting a good start on this one.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. I'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Okay, thanks for the push. We'll look for gear pin and a wave on the right. Thank you. We've got a good engine start there. Let's go ahead and start engine number 1. Engine 1 is starting. As we look over here. And we look out the window. And there's the ground person standing out there. See, they're giving us a thumbs up, holding up the gear pin. That thumbs up means that they're also looking underneath the airplane to let us know that there's no crazy person under the airplane. And we can taxi. United calls that the salute and release from guidance. And they make kind of a big deal of never move an airplane until you get that. Because that they're also doing a check underneath your airplane to make sure that it's good to go. You're good to get out of the way. And so there goes our pushback truck. We're clear. And there's our engine starting up there. And we're getting a good start here. I think everything's in pretty good shape. Yep, looking good. We got 2 good starts on the engines. How about that? Looks good. I'd say we've got 2 good engines. So we'll come down here. Actually, we'll come up here. Yeah, the knob that, the ignition knob, it's down by the throttles in the other airplane. So let's go ahead and get this back to normal. You hear the blowers changing. Let's go over here, and we're going to go ahead and do the APU bleed off. The regular bleeds come on. I did not arm my emergency exit lights, so we got to get that done. And at this point, before you turn off your APU, make sure the generator lights are out. Otherwise, just like with the APU, your airplane goes dark and everybody laughs at you. APU master switch is off. Come on down here. Pitch trim is not set. So look down here, what's our pitch trim? It's down 0.9. So I've got this set up over on a button. 0.9, right? Or is it 1? Is it 0 or 1? 1.9. That's probably close enough. So let's see. Rudder trim. There is a rudder trim 0 button there. Rudder trim is zeroed. Spoilers are not armed. The spoiler lever works, so speed brakes are armed. Slats and flaps. There they go. I guess I don't have my, did I do that right? Yes, I guess I did. Do we have slats and flaps? My levers were, I guess my controls aren't set up on this airplane correctly. Oopsie. We'll figure that out later. ECAM status, is it clear? ECAM status is pretty good. Anti-ice, I don't think we're going to need that. The hand signal has been received. I think it's taxi time. So let's go ahead and do that taxi thing. We're going to go out to runway 25 center, so we're coming out, we'll come out at November 5 to Lima and 25 center. Shall we go? So the nose light is up here, and it goes on for taxi. And let's see, I don't think, is there a cabin call? There's a mechanical call, there's cell call. I don't see cabins, so what we'll do here is we'll just do no smoking. Let the cabin crew know that we're going to roll the airplane about. Come on down here, parking brake is off, feet on the toe brakes, release the toe brakes. Airplane should start rolling a little bit here. Okay, some of my controls are not set up on this airplane very well. They are set up over on the cargo version. They are not set up too well on this one. So and I knew that because my nose wheel steering wasn't working. This airplane should go really good with a thrust idle taxi. If you're going downhill, I think it'll pick up a little bit of speed, and if you need to know what your speed is, see where it says ground speed? Right around 9. You want to take a turn at 10 knots or slower. We got a 90-degree turn coming up here at November 5 for Lima. And I believe that's Lima, what we're coming up to now. Speed is coming up. We must be going down a hill, so toe brakes. So instead of using a nose wheel tiller, I don't have that set up on this one for this airplane. But nose wheel tiller works very well with this. The flap levers work really well. They just didn't appear to be working here. Look over there. Anybody coming? Nope. Anybody over here? And start our turn. And it even says November 5 on the paint. Best thing for taxi is put the little taxi line right underneath you, you know, in the basic on the center. And then if you look and see that, put your nose wheel right on the center line. So you're being kind of a pro there. Before takeoff checklist, flight controls. Right, left, up and down. That looks good. Flight controls are checked and set. Briefing has been done ad nauseum. Slats and flaps are confirmed, 15 and 15. Let's see. Performance, FMS, check and read. V1's 153, VR's 162, V2 175. Transponder. We didn't turn on the transponder. We're squawking. Click the ATC 1 button and you can turn on traffic about now too. Okay, we are looking for Lima 3. That was November. So we're at November 4 right now. So we're getting close. Lima 3 is 1, 2, 3 turns away. Really great scenery here. This is a really nice scenery package. Got a little bit of flap there. It almost seems like the slats aren't down though, but I think they have gone down to 15 degrees. It says it has. Let's do a quick scan of the upper panel. All the lights out. Looks good. What could possibly go wrong, right? This is the famous last words. One of the things that I like to do with flight sim and stuff is if on a video like this, if I screw up something or something appears to be broken, I usually keep the video going. The reason for doing that sort of thing is because it shows that you can recover from a problem and keep doing your flight. And if you're going to take the time to invest in flight planning and everything else, you want to complete the flight. So if you could work through a problem or you press the wrong button or something like that, it's really kind of a cool thing to do. And our, yep, Lima 3 should be this one over here. So I don't see a sign. Let's see if there's some paint on the out there. Nope, there's a sign that showed up there. Look at that. It says Lima 3. How about that? So our checklist is good to the line. I think that Airbus has gone away from checklist being good to the line. And they've stopped that and they've updated those. And turn around over here. There's the ILS hold. And there is our hold short line. Parking brakes are on. Come on down here, checklist. So cabin is secured, TCAS is on, TARA. Packs are going to be on, ignition. We're not in range, so we don't need to turn on the ignition to continuous relight, I think, although I think that's a Boeing term. And then anti-ice, I don't think we're going to need that. Before takeoff checklist is good to go. I think it's flying time. So if we were on VATSIM, we would be waiting for clearance to probably line up and wait. We're going to give ourselves clearance now, so what I usually do at this point is I turn the strobes on and I do one click up on the landing lights. Parking brakes off. What the one click up is, Airbus, I don't know if we're going to actually see it here. Maybe we will, to release the camera. So we're letting the airplane taxi right over us. You see this little guy right there? There's the landing light. So it drops down there. So those are your landing lights right there. And so we've lowered the landing lights down like that. That's what that's all about. And you do that with the Airbus A319, 20, and 21 too. I am doing an awful lot more just thrust idle taxis, which is what I believe they do with these airplanes. And we'll call it a line up and wait here for a second. And there's our runway. We always good to check the paint on the runway, make sure that that matches where you're supposed to be. It's simple things like that though that really help. And we got a nice little lineup here. One thing that I wish that more developers did would be altitude airspeed callouts. They do pretty good altitude callouts for landing, but airspeed callouts when we're on the takeoff run. That way, you can keep your eyes on the road, on the runway, and not looking down constantly at a very, very small number down here. Okay, so important safety tip. Do you have a nice chair? Do you have a chair that you sit in for gaming? Do you have rudder pedals? Oh my gosh. See how it tilts back? When you're pushing your rudder pedals, lock the chair in so you don't go leaning back. Good safety tip. It actually helps out. I think it's time to go. Parking brakes are released. Last thing we do, landing lights on, lets everybody know this airplane is serious about doing that airplane thing. Just like any other Airbus, throttle's going up. Stable. And at this point in time, I will go ahead and activate auto throttle. Hands on the throttles, but the airplane is controlling my throttles now. I'm just concentrating on keeping us centered up. I did not turn on my pitot tube heaters. Bad pilot. Oh my gosh, terrible. And I got blown off the runway because I forgot to check those. Airspeed's alive though, so let's get back over on the, boy, that was embarrassing. And V1, rotate. Positive rate of climb, landing gear going up. Although positive rate I think is another Boeing term. There goes that, looks so nice. Okay, nobody noticed how bad my takeoff one roll was, right? Okay, let's follow those flight directors. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Nice climb. ATC, climb and maintain flight level 140, 150. And let's go to climb power. CL, climb. Notch of flaps. Okay, let's go over to nav and profile. Get over here on the flight path. If you hear voices, it's not you, you're not crazy. Flaps up. Disarm speed brakes. Didn't do a very good job of maintaining our departure, did I? Is it holding us at about 210 knots? No, it's not holding us at 210. I'm being a bad pilot now. Shh, don't tell anybody. Oh, you know why I did that? Because I hit the profile button and I should have left auto, kept manual control of the speed. So I screwed that up. Start our turn over here and then we'll do a direct to and get the autopilot on. Oh, we're probably gonna get a real speeding ticket now. We're at 300 knots. Terrible. Terrible aviation. Let's go and do direct to RID. Yep, speed limit has been exceeded. And now we're gonna just climb like a banshee. There's 10,000 feet. Landing lights. Nose light, cabin call. Let them know it's 10,000 feet. They're going to remind the passengers to stay in their seats. Let's do airports. Terrain radar works, but it looks kind of funky in this old airplane. So sometimes terrain radar actually gets in the way. There's some terrain radar. After takeoff checklist, slats and flaps are retracted. Landing gear up and neutral. This is an older Airbus. You know how Boeing has gear up, gear down, and off? In a Airbus, it's neutral. So there it goes to neutral. Packs are on, altimeters are good. Transition altitude, I'm sure we've already passed the transition. I believe it's, what, 6,000 feet here? So transition, there we go. I also have not flown this airplane in a very long time. Oh, did you see that? Holy moly, look at this. Yeah, there's some more incredible detail. There's our flight number, where we're going. There's time elapsed, distance to destination, and an estimated time of arrival for the passengers. How about that? Probably also notice the seatbelt and no smoking lights are on. Whoa! All sorts of incredible opportunities for aviation geekiness. There's 15,000 feet. We need to go and we're cleared to flight level 230. 230. Let's see, do I have to hit a button on this one? Probably do. Let's manage ourselves up a little bit. Hit the profile button again. There we go. So hit the profile button. New cruise altitude is set, so that's good. Speed limit exceeded. Shh. Don't tell anybody. And out we go. Looking outside the window here, I've got ortho scenery around Germany, and it looks a little simmy. outside, but I have to tell you, for airline operations, ortho scenery outside of X-Plane is really, really good. It's a bit of a pain in the butt to set up, but I will tell you, it's really pretty good. At this point in time, usually I will go ahead and turn off flight tracking. You could also leave it on here, but I usually don't leave it there. But there's our departure. We're going to be going by Stuttgart and somewhat near Heidelberg. This is really, really nice for being able to, if you're being a simulator tourist, to be able to use that map. You can also use the map if you don't have Navigraph. You could also use the free map here on SimToolkit Pro. And SimToolkit Pro will also put in data from VATSIM and also some basic weather data too, which is really kind of cool. There's 20,000 feet. This airplane is climbing like a banshee. Estimated fuel on board for our landing at destination is 5.4. It's supposed to be 6.0. I think I kind of revved up the engines a little bit too much on that departure. It says that the total air temperature is in the icing range. We are clear of the clouds though, so that's why my anti-ice is not on. And we're passing 22,000 feet. Passengers are behaving. No coffee yet. They haven't turned off the coffee. And here we are, final cruise, flight level 230. And we'll go ahead and do seatbelts. And here we are at cruise. Econ cruise, estimated landing at 1430 Zulu. We are supposed to be on the ground and at the gate at 1440 Zulu. So we're actually on time, despite my really, really crappy takeoff. So this is looking really good. Fuel, this number usually will go up a little bit. So now you can see it's rising as we've climbed. Now at this point in time, I'll go over to progress. And that's going to give us basic progress. This is a short flight, so next thing that I'm going to do is runway 28 is what we're doing. And a nice turn here. Now is the absolute best time to come back and look outside the window. Absolutely the best time to do that. There is a website, link in the description below. It's called iniBuilds. If you're new to the world of flight simming and stuff, I really suggest this is a great way to visualize weather. We are going to LSZH, that's Zurich, and hit enter, and this will show you what the current weather is. But this will also help you visualize what the wind is going to do for your landing. 7 knots of wind, it's VFR, visibility 6 miles. You'll see a few clouds at 6,000. And once you're done with that, there's a lot more weather data that you can look at down here. But this is just a great way to visualize what the weather's going to be like. And I think that that's really cool, really nice. Now then, let's go down here, and we're going to go to ACARS ATC, weather, LSZH. By the way, I'm not just spelling it out for you to listen to me spell it out. I actually say that out loud. That way I tend to have a little bit better chance of putting the information in correctly. So there is our weather for Zurich. We'll print it. Winds right now are 250 at 7, just like we saw over on iniBuilds. Visibility is good. There's those few clouds at 6,000. Altimeter is 1021, it's 24 degrees. Tear it off, and it's up there waiting for us when we need it. This airplane, unless I have missed something, does not show you a top of descent in this. I believe it might. I don't know if it shows it over here either. I don't think it does. However, in case now I may be missing something. but it does show you a top of descent hockey stick. So it will show you a top of descent hockey stick up here. So right now we're on kind of a, let's go to 60 miles. There it is. There is a top of descent hockey stick right there. You see how terrain radar makes it hard to see this stuff? So there it is. It is 40 miles away. So at this point in time, we may be getting ATC telling us that we are cleared to descend via the Relix 2 Alpha arrival. That means we are supposed to be above 7,000 feet at Amiki. So let's go ahead and come on over here, and we're going to put in 7,000 feet. Now, most Airbuses want the pilot to push a button when it's descent time. It actually wants you to tell it to descend. This airplane, the older Airbuses, are a little different. So if you look up here, you can see it says program speed, programmed altitude, and navigation. Come on up here to the flight management, to the autopilot. See my pointer right here? It's a normal pointer. Watch what happens as I move it closer to the altitude select knob. See how it went to a down arrow? Push it. Now come back over here and look at this. Now it is said P descent. So now it is going to follow your programmed or VNAV descent. And if you look in the flight plan, it should show us our descent. Does it have a Mike in here and 7,000 feet? It says above flight level 820. Remember, it's not going to be an exact number. It's going to be, we just have to be above 7,000 feet. So let's continue to look at the approach here. We're going to be at 5,000 feet at Ramam. Let's see if we have a Ramam in here. Flight level 50, look at that. It's going to put us at flight level 50 at Ramam. So why don't we come up here and we'll let it continue to go down to 5,000 feet. Now let's go and make sure, is the little blue thing there? It's still there, so we're good to go there. Not bad. Let's come on over here. So we did after takeoff and climb, that's good. Up here, what do we have? Next is approach. So now we get to just cruise. We can look out the window, and I will tell you, you know, one of the things that I absolutely really like about flight sim is back before COVID and stuff like that and layoffs and those sorts of things, I really enjoyed traveling. I don't get to do any of that anymore. So this is, perhaps in some people's eyes, the sad alternative. On the other hand, this is how I get to feel like I'm still part of something. And it really is nice. The sounds on the airplane are amazing. Oh, look at this. The seatbelt light is out. It's the simple things. It's the simple things like the seatbelt light going out. Let's see, on this airplane, there is a bathroom. Yeah. You cannot flush the toilet like you can on the FlyJSim Q400. I think FlyJSim has set a new standard for flight simulator. Uh-oh, I forgot to hit a cruise button. Look at our N1. Let's see what happens. I forgot to put us in cruise mode. It didn't change all that much, though. Didn't change all that much. So there's the flight plan. I usually leave this one over in progress. The ILS. Okay, so you see ILS over here. This airplane does not auto-tune. So our ILS is 109.75, and the inbound course is 273 degrees. So we'll come over here and dial it in. So 109.75, 109.75, and the inbound course 273. 273. Here we go. ILS is set. We can come back over here. If we were talking on VATSIM or we were announcing our intentions, we would go and do that. As I mentioned, we're shadowing a real-world flight. I knew that the real-world flight down to Zurich was going to be departing from gate A23. I'm not sure where we're going to go. Let's see if I can still find that over in my history. Okay, so let's see how the real world flight is doing. Let's see. They have already landed. Oh, and they landed 25 minutes late. I think my timings were off here. Looks like they did the same flight we did. Zurich does not give you a gate number. So let's see. What would be another way? LSZH. Let's take a look at Zurich here. And let's go and look down at departures, and let's see if there's a DLH flight. Here's one for Frankfurt. Is that going to give us a gate A63? How about that? So A63, we can come over here and see if we can't find A63 in the parking gates. Here are Dock E 72. Don't see that there. We might have to look at the other parking gate chart to find A63. Here's parking stands. Here's some more. There's a 63 down here. I can't imagine. This is Hall 1. So maybe this is where we would go. No idea. I don't go to Zurich that much. So here is Dock A. Dock A is over here. And here's Dock A. I wonder if these aren't the A's. No idea on this one. So we'll just go to Dock A. But that's a way for you to figure out where it is that you might park. And on a VATSIM event, sometimes they will, after you get off the runway and you contact ground, the ground controller will say, Lufthansa 1190, say parking. So if you've gone and done a little rabbit holing like I did and tried to figure out a gate, you can just come right back and say, well, thank you very much for asking there, gate A63. Oh, okay, wow, this person knows what they're talking about. Again, a little bit of rabbit holing goes a long way. All right, so we are on our descent. We're looking pretty good. There is a little gauge over here. Once you start your descent, VDAV, vertical deviation, and it has nothing to do with whether or not my jokes have become deviant or not or anything like that. If this little triangle is relatively close to the center line, then we are maintaining our proper descent path. So that's good. We are being good pilots here. We've started our descent. Let's go ahead and do seatbelts. So cabin crew's gonna put the passengers back in their seats. Transition altitude. So on the approach here, what do we have? So transition level is set by ATC. What do you do with that? Well, if you're flying by yourself, come on over and look at the approach plate. And it says transition altitude is 7,000. A general rule of thumb is make the transition level 1,000 feet higher. So that's going to be 8,000 feet. And that gives you an idea of when to do your transition. Let's come on in here to take off and approach, and now all of a sudden the approach page is in there. MDA, you know where to find that. It's over on the approach chart, and that is going to be for an ILS and the different decision heights. Let's see, 430 meters. I'm just going to go with the top number right now, 2092, 2092, 2092. When you're presented with all sorts of information like we just got, I just go with the top number. And basically, I believe what those numbers, the different numbers, are based on your descent path. Oh, wait a minute. Those are differences between airplanes. I believe this is a double aisle. This is a wide body, so it should have been 2102. 2102 for a Class D airplane, maybe? Or maybe we're still Class C. I'm going to go with that one instead. There is so much for us to learn. So much to learn about these airplanes. And this is really nice ortho scenery around Zurich. I do suggest if you're an X-plane, get your ortho scenery in Zurich, Innsbruck, places like that. Really important. Just great looking scenery out there. We are passing 15,000 feet. Obviously, I'm showing some things that I don't know about yet. It's okay in the world of flight sim to not know everything. Part of the fun of all of this is the learning. And there's so many cool things to learn in the world of flight sim. Another thing we can do is we can come over here to our charts. We'll just get rid of the Frankfurt charts. Kind of keep things a little bit cleaner is a good way to go. All right, let's go ahead and dial the map into 30. There are some hills and stuff around here, so you can turn on terrain radar again. We don't want to go splat inside by a mountain. So there comes terrain radar. I believe the airplane also has weather radar, but it is a really nice day in Europe today, so it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Now, if we were also on VATSIM, if you want to talk on the radio, you actually have to turn on some things here. So we're using VHF1. You have to click that. That's your microphone button. Okay? You also have to press the center of this and turn it up. So what's that mean? Let's go over here and get, what is the ATIS? 12573. Let's come down here and go 125.730. Let's put that in COM 2. Now let's go down here and go and press COM 2. I don't hear anything. That's the microphone. I might have gotten the wrong frequency. Oh, I also think I've got some of that stuff turned off. That's right. I think I have some of that stuff turned off because it competes. So there is an ATIS within X-plane, and I think I've gone and turned those things off because it was making some noise during VATSIM events. Coming up on 11,000 feet, we should also get a speed reduction coming up here. I think that's why that didn't work. 125.730. Is that what I put in? Yeah, that was what I put in. Let's see if I screwed up that part of it too. There's the departure ATIS is 129.005. 129.005. Maybe that's it. Push the button. Turn it up. I don't think that's it either. Turn it down, turn it off. We'll jump down that rabbit hole another day. Uh-oh, there's mountains up ahead. That's probably going to start showing up on our terrain radar here. And we have there is Amiki, and we have to be above a flight level 7,000 feet. So we're good to go there. The approach, VAP, is going to be about 132. I generally add 5 to 10, a little bit more. I like to round it up to a number up here. Ooh, see, it says it wants more drag. Let's see if I can make my... Ah, there's some speed brake. Bet we can see it outside the window. Look at that, there's speed brake. So, wanted some more drag. Let's clear that. I'll bet it's because it's trying to slow us down for 10,000 feet. Or maybe we need to descend a little bit faster. I think we ended up a little high. Oh, absolutely. Maybe we're a tad bit high. Vertical deviations dropped down. I wasn't paying attention. 10,000 feet. Speed's good. So, landing lights. Pre-arm the nose light. And we'll also ring the bell for the flight attendants. Let them know we're passing 10,000 feet. Speed brakes are out. big old heavy metal airplanes, so we're descending a little bit faster now. As we start to get in a little bit closer, I like my speed to drop down even more. In fact, it is dropping our speed at the moment. I like to get it to about, I think it wants it on level change. And I like that to go down to about 210 for tight turns like this. And we can also do a notch of flaps. I'm surprised my flap lever didn't work on this. It did. I just wasn't being patient. Notice the flap lever. It is going down to the slats to 15. I just wasn't being patient. Not my strong suit sometimes. Okay, we're now going down to 5,000 feet. And we're going to go ahead and start slowing down even more because we're getting close to landing. So 180. Approach checklist. Signs are on. Briefing's done. ECAM status is clear. Altimeters. We did not set the altimeters. Checklists are good. Altimeters here are 1021. Just start dialing it. 1021. Altimeters are set. 1021. Minimums were set. Ignition, don't need that. Landing elevation is good too. Another notch of flaps, please. At 180 knots. Let's also go ahead and turn on ILS. And we've got glide slope and localizer. Let's get a little help from the autopilot. I'm going to hit the land button. That's going to help us out too. If you're like me on a flight and you sometimes get kind of scrunched up in the chair and moving around and fidgeting and stuff like that, now is the great time to do what we call over on Twitch your posture check. Make sure you're sitting so that you can grab your controls. All right, we also should think about doing auto brakes. And let's go ahead and I'm going to just go auto brakes medium. And we need to arm the speed brakes. Speed brakes are armed. And we are coming up on our turn for final. We're coming up on 5,000 feet. We're below the glide slope. We're not going to run into any hills, I hope. Next checklist is landing checklist. Last chance for a sip of coffee before we go and land. Once I see that I'm starting to acquire glide slope and localizer, and you can see that nav, localizer, and glide slope are both armed, and we are grabbing those now. One of the things that I like to do is to come on over here and get the airport chart. There's our airport chart. We are coming in on runway 28. So there's runway 28. I'm going to also make sure that that's on too, so that I can see we're probably going to get off at L7 and come back in here. So now my ground stuff is ready to go. We are on localizer. Localizer has a star and it's green, so we have got that. We are on 10-mile finals. Our VAP speed's 132. I did less drag. I just didn't clear it. So 132, let's call it 135 for landing. Everything's looking good here. There's 10 miles. Looking out there to see if there's an airport. The scenery. Just come out and look outside the airplane. And we are grabbing glide slope now. We are coming up on 5 miles to final. Let's go ahead and do landing gear. Wheels are a good idea, right? Here comes wheels. Always fun to look outside the airplane and see these things. If you're an airplane geek, you'll do that. Lufthansa did fly these A310s. They don't fly them anymore, but they did fly them. I have their modern livery on this. There's 5-mile finals. That's usually when we can go and get our airspeed for landing. Because usually ATC will say maintain 180 knots till 5 miles DME or a checkpoint that is about 5 miles DME. Another notch of flaps. Flaps are rolling out. I think the visuals on this airplane are absolutely outstanding. I'll bet that the visuals on on the Microsoft Flight Simulator are going to be holy moly. I think they're going to be good. Flaps are full. I see the runway. I'm still letting the airplane do the work for me for a while. It's actually so sunny and nice out here. Usually it's kind of dull and dingy in X-Plane, but boy, the weather is nice. But I like to let the airplane do the work until I can actually really see the runway, or I'm just, if it's clouds, then I'll just follow the instrumented guidance here. But everything's good. Landing checklist. Landing gear is down, auto brakes are set, anti-skid is good, slats and flaps are confirmed, and we have done our spoilers. Landing checklist is good. Now I'm starting to see my runway a little bit better. AP is off. Captain's got the airplane. Auto throttle is off. And remind yourself at this point, how are we getting off the runway? We are exiting to the left. Getting a little high, a little off to the side. Push the nose down. You could also use your trim. High still. Reverse. So the reversers. And off on Foxtrot. Oh, that's right. I was trying to steer with the nose wheel steering. I've got to fix that for this airplane. There's the airport. There's some gates. Off the runway, landing lights going off, strobes going off, APU switch, APU start, flaps up, speed brakes down. We'll go on the other side here. And welcome to Zurich. This is either a freeware or maybe it was an inexpensive payware, but there are some absolutely amazing sceneries. One of the things I really like about European airports is they have the clear walls on the jetways, so you can actually see the cool airplane stuff. I'm sure that those things are, a nightmare, for the security people, but I really like them. APU is coming up, and it is even available, so that's good. Slow it down even more. We're going to turn off pitot tube heaters. So there's Alpha 48. So these numbers are a little bit different. Alpha 43. So chances are the gate we're looking for is on the other side. We're going to grab this gate here. Something beeped at me. I don't know what. One of the things that's kind of missing from Microsoft Flight Simulator is gate guidance coming in. I really wish there was a little more gate guidance. Oh, the brakes are hot. Guess we're going to need brake fans. There is gate guidance here. It's automatic gate guidance. There it is. It's kind of small right in front of us. Guiding us in. Whoa, a little bit too much on the brakes. And almost there. Creep forward. Wait for it to say stop. And stop. Parking brakes are on. Now before we do anything, let's see how crappy my landing was. So let's go to not plugins, flight, replay mode, and let's just go back here. Here we are coming on in. I've got it going kind of fast forwarding now. This is a nice replay. Outside we go. So flaps are out, looking good. It does seem like kind of a small, shorter little airplane, but they did shorten it up a little bit so that it would add in the really nice, so that it would set you up for really good, so that you could fly it further. That was a little bit of a bounce, but not a really bad one, I don't think. Let's see how bad it really was. So let's reverse it a bit. Look at the wheels. Touchdown. Yeah. I'm not going to call it a bounce. We're going to call it a hop. And if you haven't been in an airplane in a while, it's always kind of fun to watch it from here. Just be able to watch the landing from here. And there goes the reversers. Sometimes it's a little bit better to watch the landing from out back, behind the wing. Oh man, that bounce sucks. One of the things that I think that's going to end up happening with a lot of these really great jets that are coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator is, obviously, I was a little on the sloppy side here, right? These things take practice. And the other hard part is you have to stay in practice. So I haven't probably flown this airplane for 3, 4, maybe even 6 months. So, and this is just the second time in like 6 months or so. So they do take an awful lot of practice. But I gotta tell you, I am so excited. This airplane is coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator, and you're going to be able to, you could preview it if you wanted to right now over in X-Plane. I think it's a really cool airplane for sure. I hope that you enjoyed the little sort of preview of what's coming. I know I'm going to be spending a little bit more time in this airplane. As always, I like to say this is not right way versus wrong way. It's what sort of most of the time works for me, and I hope it works for you too. I am still new here on YouTube, so I still read all comments and questions, and I can't wait to hear what you think about the airplane. And if you've got any suggestions for a flight that you'd like me to do, I certainly hope that you'll tell me about that as well. As I said, I'm new here on YouTube, so long way from being monetized. But I do want to say a big thank you to my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. You are the jet fuel for my flight plan. And if you don't use either Ko-fi or Patreon, but you'd like to show some support, come on over and fly with us on Twitch TV. We fly Tuesday through Sunday. 1900 Zulu is our departure time. There's a Discord channel, link in the description below, and we'd certainly like you to come over and just come and hang with us. We're flying all sorts of airplanes. I imagine that as we get closer to November, this amazing airplane is going to be showing up in the flight plans too. I hope you enjoyed this. I can't wait to see what they're going to be doing when Microsoft Flight Simulator does the 40th anniversary party that's coming our way. In the meantime, as always, stay healthy, stay safe. I will see you again soon here on YouTube and even sooner on Twitch. Cheers.